I know this sounds like complete BS, but when I got this question the other day, this is where my mind went immediately. Now, while this concept is well known, it's only really spoken about amongst women, and more specifically, women who have either been pregnant or are about to get pregnant. So today, I've got to get naked to teach you all about it. Now, you've probably been told before to brace your core in the gym. This is how it normally gets taught. This is really bad because you're overextending, you're arching your back, and you're losing a lot of tension, while something like this is a lot better because everything's more evenly stacked. Now, this is really important, but it's a little bit incomplete. So let's say this is you. You can imagine if I took a deep breath in to my chest and I arched my back, all the weight would start to go through this lower back area, especially if I got a big bar on my shoulders. Whereas if I maintained a more even stack, that weight would be more evenly distributed through my entire body. Try this out for yourself right now. First, you're going to take a really deep breath in and really lift your chest. Think about really good posture, opening everything up. Feel that? This here is wrong. What you want to try next is, first of all, breathe out all your air through pursed lips. And around this point here, you're going to feel all of your abdominal muscles starting to strain. Keep trying to push even more air out, and you'll feel it even more intensely. Now you want to maintain all that tension in there and take a deep breath in just through your nose. You're going to feel everything expanding even further. And now the final thing is you want to try to breathe out, but close all your holes. And nothing is going to push out at all. This is called the Valsalva maneuver. Now that's a lot harder, but that is an effective way to create a core brace and generate a lot of power. So what about all this stuff here? These are your pelvic floor muscles, and as the name suggests, they're sitting at the bottom of your body, and their role is not to just sit there as a static floor, but you should actively be pulling up to help you with that brace. Coming back to you here, you can have perfect technique that we've just outlined with how you're meant to breathe, how you're meant to position your body, how you're meant to brace through your abs. But if you're not thinking about having that strong pelvic floor, the second you go to lift, everything's just going to fall out. Maybe not fall out, but you're definitely going to see a decrease in your overall power. But instead, if you had a really strong, solid foundation with your pelvic floor, you'll find that when you're going to do any lift, your brace is that much more effective. You're able to contain all that pressure in your body. Serious talk for a sec, but this is why a lot of women will experience incontinence when they're training in the gym, particularly if they're pregnant or have been pregnant in the past. It's not that they have weak pelvic floor muscles, although things like hormones, pregnancy, and stress itself can weaken this musculature. It's that they have a shallower and wider pelvis. And they also have a smaller urinary tract because they don't have a penis. But it's not just in the gym. It can happen when they're sneezing or when they're laughing or even when they're just walking on an unstable surface. So for the 90% male audience that I've got on here, I need to be clear with this. Before you go around passing judgment or trying to give an oversimplified answer to what is actually a very complex issue, please keep in mind that there's a very, very, very good chance that your partner, your sister, your daughter, your mother have experienced this issue and feel a lot of shame around it. There is a lot that can be done about it, but it's not a simple fix. And to add to the insult, the inconvenience, and the shame that they experience around this, it tends to happen at the most unexpected times. And while it's less common, it does happen in men as well. Although what tends to happen a little more commonly in men tends to be just that little bit easier to hide. But whether you poop yourself, pee yourself, or just feel like you're not as strong as you could be, this is something that can help everybody. You need to learn how to use your pelvic floor effectively. So the next time you go to train in the gym, do the same breathing and bracing cues you mentioned before, but when you go to actually lift and push, it's not about pushing down like you would on here. Instead, it's about actively trying to pull those pelvic floor muscles up and in. That will help to contain, maintain, and increase the amount of pressure you can create around your core, which will go a very long way to instantly increasing your strength. Now, because these muscles are so deep inside you, it can be a little hard to bring your attention or awareness to them and really feel what you're doing. But before you get a stinky pinky or a sneaky butt plug out, here's a couple of tips that may help you. For the men, remember back to the last time you were out in public and you really had to take a whiz. There are no bathrooms around, but you came across an inviting dark alleyway, or maybe a tree hidden amongst a whole bunch of bushes. So you go there to do your business. Then while you're midstream, out of nowhere, that really important person that you're terrified of embarrassing yourself in front of comes your way. What do? You instantly cut things short. You remember that feeling. That feeling of cutting things short is exactly what you want to try to be doing when you're lifting in the gym. Ladies, you can definitely steal that one. It will work incredibly well for you. But here's another tip that I heard from a pelvic floor specialist many years ago that's a little bit crude, but it definitely does the job. Imagine you have this box of tissues and you're literally squatting over it and you're trying to pull a tissue out. I'm going to leave it there and leave it open to your imagination as to what comes next, but hopefully that starts to paint a clearer picture on what you should be feeling when you're training in the gym.